It is one of the most important parts of our body that enable us to continue our lives. Actually, human heart is one of the most important organs that do the many different actions and reactions, or has many different responsibilities besides pumping blood to different cells and tissues in different organs in our bodies. Besides pumping blood and sending oxygen and nutrition to different cells and tissues, our heart plays an important role on receiving and processing deep and important information that belongs to our emotional and spiritual parts of our lives, and also plays an important role in the hormonal system or section of our body by producing some particularly important hormones such as peptide, oxytocin, and some other kinds of organs. And actually, our heart has different actions and reactions. It has its own conductions and contraction system that produces impulses independently without dependence to any other organ, and also it has its own intrinsic cardiac ganglia that enables it which includes about 40,000 neurons and cells, proteins, and ganglions that enable the system to receive and process information. It means that our heart is a very complex and a very important and vital organ. Actually, our heart, when we see here, our heart has four chambers, which are two atrium, the right and left atriums, and also two ventricles. The atriums are above and the ventricles are below. And also our heart has four valves, main valves that receive and send receives blood from our body, deoxygenated blood, and sends back oxygenated blood through circulatory system to different parts of our body. Actually, when our body spins based on its needs, the oxygen of blood, or then the deoxygenated blood with low level of oxygen comes through the exterior and inferior vena cava, which are two parts to the left part of our atriums, or the left atrium, our left atrium full of blood. Then the main pacemaker of our heart, which is senatorial node or SA node, which is located near to the superior vena cava, shuts the impulse, and the ventricle contract, and based on that, the two valves, which are tricuspid valve or AV valve, and also the mitral valve, they're open, and the blood comes from the right atrium to right ventricle, and when at that same time from the pulmonary artery, blood goes to our lungs to be oxygenated and to be filled by oxygen and also processed. And blood comes from our lungs by veins, pulmonary veins, to the left atrium, which is in this side. It is the left atrium, and also when the left atrium is full of blood, it comes through the mitral or the bicuspid valve into the left ventricles, and left ventricles then sent through the aorta to the circulatory system and to all parts of our body. Actually, the right aorta and the ventricle in the left, they work together based on the actions and reactions of our main pacemakers and conduction system, which includes AV node, SA node or senatorial node, and AV node, and also bundle of Hayes and Purkinje fibers that enable our heart to contract the pacemaker cells and structure through producing some particular impulses enable other parts of our heart to be contracted and be able to pump blood from different parts from atriums to ventricles, and also from ventricles both from the right ventricle through pulmonary artery to lungs, and also from left ventricle through aorta to circulatory system in all parts of our body. These two parts do their actions at the same time. Actually, when AC node or senatorial node produces impulses or shots some impulses, the two with atriums contract, and the two valves, which are tricuspid and mitral valves, open. Blood comes from the upper chambers to the down chambers, which are ventricles. It takes about 0.1 part of second or 0.1 second. Then when blood came to our ventricles, the two valves will be closed, because to prevent the blood to go back to atriums. And the first sound of our heart produce, which is loop. The first sound of our heart produces by the closing of two valves, which are tricuspid and mitral valves, or tricuspid and two cuspid valves, or AV valves. And that's why when blood came to ventricles, then through receiving impulses from AC node to AV node, and from AV node to bundle of Hayes and Purkinje fibers, then our ventricles contract, and through the force that produced by ventricles contraction, blood goes by from aorta to our circulatory system, and also from pulmonary artery to our lungs. When blood sends and leaves the ventricles, the two valves, aorta and pulmonary artery, will be closed, and the second sound of our heart will be produced, which is the S2. The first one is S1, the first S2, which is dub, lub dub, which that's we hear the sound of heart, which is lub dub. Lub produces by closing of tricuspid and mitral valves, and also dub produces by the closing of aorta and pulmonary artery. And that's why when our heart works completely, there are the main contracting system starts from the pacemaker, which is the main pacemaker is our AC node, then AV node, and also other parts of the heart's conduction system. And besides enabling other organs to continuous life by providing them with oxygen and nutrition and some needed energy and food, heart has its own nervous system. They're including some particular neurons, about 40,000, and also some proteins and some ganglions, some structures, same like our brains, to receive and process information. And also our heart divided by a septum, which as like a wall between two parts of ventricles and also atriums. And also when we look to the main wall of our heart, there are three layers. The first one is, which is very strong, the pericardium, that prevents from much expanding of our heart, and also between the internal layer is endocardium, and also between them myocardium, which is the main muscle of our heart, and also that enable heart to contract, and also the fiber Purkinje fibers located within this myocardium section of our heart. And actually, our heart has a very important and very a strong muscle, and also very strong and important structure. And coronary veins that provide blood to the muscles of heart, and other sections of like aorta, throughout the aorta to other different smaller parts of artery and capillaries provide blood, and also transfer blood, through blood oxygen and some nutrition to different parts of our body. It means that the heart plays a central and very important role in the continuation of our daily lives, not just physical life, but our emotional life, our spiritual life, and different parts of our lives. That's why it's better to know the actions, main structure and action reactions of our heart, and always try to have a healthy, more healthier heart, and also good working cardiovascular system. And cardiovascular system and heart actually plays important role in our daily lives. I'm Dr. Abdul Qahar Sarwari. If you think such information are helpful, please subscribe the channel. Thank you.